Hey guys, so in today's video series I will talk about a second financial step of the 7 financial steps to your financial freedom in Tony Robbins' book Money Master the Game. And in today's topic or today's step, what Tony Robbins did is that he busted the 9 financial myths that you should know about in order to become an insider when it comes to investment and not lose your money when you start investing. So you don't have to, do these mistakes. You can avoid them from the get-go, right? So, the first of the 9 financial myths is low-cost index funds versus managed mutual funds. In the investment world, mutual funds are very known for being really good investments. What mutual funds are is basically, actively managed mutual funds are basically investments that are made by a professional stock picker, which is the manager. And he basically is known for his great experience, and he can he's professional at picking stocks that are winners or that perform very well in the market, or he basically promises you that he's going to beat the market most of the time. The problem with the managed mutual funds is that it's proven that in the past 30 years from all the managed mutual funds, a study has shown that 96% of the actively managed mutual funds actually don't beat the market. Right? Some of them do on specific years, but there isn't one fund that consistently beats the market like for a long period of time, let's say 30 or 40 years. So the mutual fund might be good for the managed mutual fund might be good for a specific like for a year or two. It might be like a really hot fund for like 3 months or 4 or 5 months or maybe a year or two, but over time it always changes, and these like hot actively managed mutual funds become not so good, and other ones emerge, and so they're very volatile, and you don't know when you're putting your money if you're actually getting good money on your return, or if you're going to lose it in like 3 or 4 years time. So that's the problem with the managed mutual funds. I'll repeat that. Actually, I'll just quote it from his book, just so I put it in context. Right? So it says that an incredible 96% of actively managed mutual funds fail to beat the market over any sustained period of time. Right? So be aware when they tell you, oh, we're gonna invest your money with us and we're gonna beat the market. They don't actually do it most of the time. So the alternative to that, and what you should be investing your money in, is low-cost index fund. And what low-cost index funds is basically, indexes is basically a bucket of stocks. Right? It's like basically a list of stocks that you invest in. And a low-cost index fund is basically a fund that mimics the market. Okay? So an example of a low-cost index fund is the S&P 500. Everyone knows what the S&P 500 and what it is that it's a collection of stocks in each of the top 500 best companies in the world. I'm not sure I think in America. These companies, example of these companies are like Google, they're like Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, all of the 500 best performing companies in America, and that's what a low-cost index fund. So basically, it's a fund that mimics the whole market. You basically, by investing in low-cost index funds, you're investing in the whole market, and you're buying a piece of stock in each one of these 500 best companies. So why is that good? Because first, you're diversifying your portfolio, you're diversifying your investment in different stocks. You're not just investing in one single stock that you think is going to perform well, and if it doesn't, then you lose all your money. And secondly, that the S&P 500 are managed in a way that if one of these companies actually falls short or underperform, they're kicked out of the 500. They're kicked out of the group of the S&P 500, and instead a better performing company is taken in. So they're always kind of refining the index, the market index, to make sure that the 500 best companies are the ones that are included in that investment. So low-cost index funds are better than managed mutual funds. They mimic the market, which puts you on the safe side and ensures that you get returns annually for a sustained period of time. Right? So the second financial myth out of the 9 financial myths is small fees are not so small. And that goes back to our point in my first video, where I talked about how you can put $2 investment doubles every year, but if you apply a tax reduction of 33%, the compounding effect is actually so massive that in 20 years time, instead of making $1 million, you only make $20,000. And that's because you only applied a 33% reduction tax. And that's what happens also in mutual funds. In mutual funds, they usually the fees usually range from 3% to 4%. I think the average is about 3.17% in fees. Whereas a low-cost index fund, the average of that is about 0.14%. So there's big difference in fees. Now you might think that 3.17% is not much, but 3.17% is taken from the whole investment, right? And which means that this number is deducted from the whole investment, so that the percentage fee that goes away from the profit you make is actually much higher. So if you do just a simple maths, let's say you invest $100, right? You make on your investment 10% annually. Let's say your profit of investment, you make $10 basically every year. Now the fees that you're paying is 3.17% of 100, so that's $3.17, right? So the true fees, or the real fees, is actually 3.17 divided by 10, because that's your profit, and it's about 31.7%. So this is the real fees that you're paying. 31.7% is the fees of your profit, right? It's not of the investment you make, because the investment you make is irrelevant. How much you put into the investment is how much you make from the investment. If you make 10% annually, how much of that is going for the cost of the fees? And 31.7% of the money you make goes into fees. So that can really hurt your compounding effect, the compounding effect of the investment, as we discovered in the last chapter. So you have to be really careful of that. And the index fund, however, it's only 0.14%. And if you do the math, I've done it before, it comes about to 1.25% fees. So 1.25% fees as opposed to 31.7 is a massive difference. And when it comes to compounding, man, you can be making millions here, and in here you can be making like $100,000. Like you can literally be making 9 times more on your money by just investing in investments with lower fees, right? The third one, statistical illusion of returns, average return versus real returns, and that's basically a marketing myth. Basically, they advertise to you how a certain stock or a certain investment can go up and down, and you still don't lose any of your money. In reality, you actually do lose money, because if you do the maths, it differs. So I'll give you an example. So you put a $100,000 investment in, let's say, a stock or an investment, and that $100,000 goes up by 50%. So up by 50%, and then down by 50%, and then up by 50%, and then down by 50%. So what do you think would happen to your investment when it goes through all these cycles? You think that your investment will be flat at 0%? Your winnings are going to be at 0, so you're not going to win anything. You're just going to get back your money. You're going to get your money back from $1,000. The reality is what happens. That's what happens. So $100,000 goes by 150. That goes to $150,000, right? And then when that goes down by 50%, that goes to $75,000. When that goes up to by 50% again, that goes to about 105. Goes down by 50. That's about $50,000, right? You see what happened here is that when we did the maths, that 100,000 wasn't actually the same 100,000 you would have after all these market fluctuations, but it was actually reduced to $50,000. So you lost 50% of your money through the market fluctuation. So you be careful of this when it comes to investment, and when they advertise, the returns, if you're going to get your money back, or if the return is going to go, if it goes up, the market goes down, then it's fine because you're going to get your money back. In reality, you don't actually get your money back when you do the maths. So, and also he talks about time weighted returns versus dollar weighted returns. So a lot of mutual funds, they advertise their time weighted returns. So they say, for example, invest with us and we'll get you a 15% annual increase in your investment, right? And when they advertise that, they assume that you put all your money at the start of the investment, year. So you put, like, let's say, all your $100,000 at the start of the investment years, and that's not what really happens in real life, because what you're doing is that you're contributing to that mutual fund every month from your income, right? So you're putting 10% of your income every month. So more money is pouring in, and you're gradually pouring money into that account. So the way you should calculate it is from a dollar weighted return instead of a time weighted return, because time weighted return assumes that you're putting your money at the start. Dollar weighted return is dependent on the amount of money you put into the fund. So when you do the maths, actually, if they advertise to you that you can make 10% of your investment, so you can make 10% money on your investment, and the time weighted return in reality is about only 5%, right? And that's, as we said, because the math differs, because here you're actually putting more money into the fund as you get more money from your income, and here you're putting all your money at the start, which is unrealistic. So the real return that you get is about half of what they advertise. So if it's 10%, it's about 5% in reality, right? Right, so the fourth of the 9 financial myths is broker versus, I don't know how to pronounce it, fiduciary. So what's the difference between the two? When you hire someone to manage your funds, because sometimes you might not have enough time to manage investments and stuff, so you want to hire someone to do it all for you. Most people actually hire a broker as opposed to an independent financial advisor. The problem with a broker is that a broker actually works for a firm, and he will tell you that you should invest in products that are suitable for his firm, that will make money for his firm, and also make money for you. So he calls them suitable products or suitable investments, right? And that's not what you want. You don't want something suitable. You want something profitable. You want the best for you, right? So you should be avoiding investing with a broker and instead invest with an independent or seek advice from an independent financial advisor, because an independent financial advisor is obligated by law to give you the best advice. He can give you a conflict-free advice that serves your best interest, right? He's obligated by law. So and he also takes much less fees than the brokers do, right? And Tony Robbins also, he uses this example called the butcher versus dietitian, and he compares the broker to a butcher and a financial advisor to a dietitian. Basically, when you go to a butcher and ask him what food should I eat or what food is best for my body, a butcher's not going to tell you go eat vegan food. He's going to tell you go eat meat, because that's what he does. He sells meat for a living. He's not going to go tell you, oh, go and buy fish. Right? Whereas a dietitian, you go and tell him what is the best food I can eat for my body, and he's gonna give you the best foods that you should eat to nourish your body. So that's the difference between the two. One is working for a firm who cares about making money for his firm, and this guy cares about making money for you. So go for that financial advisor if you have to choose one. And the fifth one, this only applies for people in America, I think. And this is the 401k and the Roth 401k plan. So these are retirement plans. I think in Australia they have the superannuation fund. I don't know much about it, but it's similar to the 401k plan. And so retirement plan basically that is the same as the mutual funds. Basically, if you put your money in the 401k plan in order to see it grow and flourish, so you can withdraw it later in life when you retire. There's different 401k plans, so you can invest in ones that invest in mutual funds, and these are the ones you should avoid. So Tony Robbins also talks about the ones you should, the plans that you should, the 401k plans that you should avoid, and the ones that invest in mutual funds, because as we said, 96% of the time mutual funds don't beat the market, and they have really high fees. And on top of that, you also pay for fees for managing the 401k plan, so that just like butchers your profits basically. So he advised to go for 401k plans that invest in low-cost index funds, as we discussed in point 1, and just to go for these ones as opposed to the mutual fund ones. The Roth 401k plan, he says, is also a better alternative than the 401k plan itself, because that one basically is tax deductible from the money that you put into the account. So when the money gets into into your 401k plan, it's tax-free, but you pay the tax before you put the money in. Whereas a 401k plan, you don't pay any tax on the money you put in, but once you try to withdraw the money, that's when you pay the tax. Now, why the Roth 401k plan is better? Because when you're putting money into your retirement account, you're not paying like ridiculous tax of like 50 or 60%, because your tax bracket is actually quite low, right? Whereas the 401k plan, if you accumulate, let's say, I don't know, $2, $3, $4 million by the end of your lifetime at 65 at retirement, and now you want to withdraw that $4 million, guess what? Now you're in a really high tax bracket, and you're going to be taxed 50 to 60% of that $4 million, and that all goes to the government. Like $2 million of that $4 million goes to the government. So instead of accumulating wealth and then getting taxed ridiculously on your net worth, you can go with a Roth 401k plan and then pay tax gradually as you put money into the account. And he talks about America's best 401k, and it's a company that can manage your 401k retirement plan, and they offer very low cost fees, I think about 0.75% as opposed to 2.5% of fees. And as we said, fees, they make a big difference when we do the maths. And yeah, that's about it. So these are five of the 9 financial myths. In the next video of the series, I'll talk about the other 4. And the reason I didn't talk about them is because they're just so long, and I'd just rather go through 5 only for now, and then talk more in details about the other ones. So I hope you like this video. Note down these things. Note down that low cost index funds are better than managed mutual funds if you're looking to invest your money in in the market, which is a good thing. And then I think next chapter we'll talk about asset allocation. I'm not sure if it's the next chapter or it's chapter 4. I don't know which one of them. But for now, stay tuned for the next video. I hope you like it. So subscribe to this channel, like this video, share with your friends if you found it really helpful. Write down in the comment below what you thought about this video, your experiences, reflect on your experiences, investing in the stock market, so on and so forth. And I'll see you in the next video of the series, right? So for now, have a good new year, and I'll see you in the next video.